I built a house flipping business with no employees, no full-time crew, and no office. And it makes me more than any 9-to-5 job I've ever had. It's the one-person house flipping business model, and there's no hammer required. Most people think that you have to build this huge machine, 10 crews, dozens of deals at one time, and a big brand. But the reality is all you need is control, cash flow, and clarity. Now, I would know because I've done it the other way. I scaled up 50 plus employees, dozens of projects at the same time, and most of all, huge stress. My family life suffered, and the payoff, not much more than I make right now. Flipping houses lean, solo, and on my own terms. Now, here's the motto. Wealth isn't found, it's built. That means it's not about luck or timing. It's about systems and frameworks that help you to control the chaos, own your time and minimize the risk, and ultimately stack real assets that work for you day in and day out. Because you basically have two bad choices out there. You either give the best hours of the best years of your life to a boss, or on the other hand, you take too much risk on and then you live with the wolves at your door. Well, this model is about the third path, one where you build steadily, stay lean, and live on your own terms. The best part is you can do this as a side hustle until it replaces the main thing for you. And it will, because real estate is the surest path to wealth. P.S. When I say flipping, I mean either flipping it to sell or flipping it to rent. Okay, but you're probably thinking, isn't house flipping risky? Don't I need a ton of cash? What about all the horror stories that I've heard? Yeah, well, listen, I've heard them too. And I've seen how people stop before they even get started because of them. So let's set the record straight. Here are the 6 biggest myths that keep people out of the game and what the real story is behind each one. Myth number 1 is you have to move fast or you'll lose money. Now, people call me all the time and they say, hey, we've got to flip this house in 3 months. That's the only way the numbers work. Well, guess what? That means that you bought a bad deal, period. If the only way you can make money is by going lightning fast, you've already lost before you even started. Things will come up, delays will happen, and even the best contractors won't hit those timelines on a consistent basis. The better strategy is just buy stronger deals. Plan your scope better, your strategy, and give yourself margin in the timeline and the budget. Expect the unexpected. Hashtag Patrick Swayze Roadhouse. You get it. Now, speed should be a bonus, not your entire business model. Otherwise, you're building a house on sand. Myth number 2 is that you need to control a full-time crew in-house. I made this mistake early on. I thought that I had to get all the subs on my payroll, make them employees, keep them under my thumb. That's just monkey brain thinking, some old school urge to control everything. But here's the thing, is when you take on that type of control, you also take on responsibility for keeping them busy. Now you go out and you buy projects or buy houses just to keep these guys busy, adding unnecessary work just to justify your payroll. Don't fall for it. This is all about spending your most scarce resource, time, on things that are the most profitable. Go hire real subs who run their own business. Pay them for the job, treat them well, and then let them go until you need them again. That's the one-person business model. Trust me, they will come back. It's not hard to make yourself a more attractive customer than your competition. Myth number 3 is that you're screwing over sellers when you're buying these houses. This one's completely emotional. People feel like flipping is exploitative, like you're buying someone's house too cheap and taking advantage. But here's the truth. Most flippers are solving real problems. Some houses are so trashed that they're a neighborhood hazard. Boarded up windows, squatters, fire damage. That neighborhood needs somebody to come save the day. I bought a house before that had mattresses all throughout the property, syringes everywhere. There is actually a pile of human feces in the middle of the living room. Do you think the neighbors didn't want somebody to come in and renovate that house? And who else is going to buy it? Right? Not only that, but some sellers need speed. They can't wait for real estate agents, buyers, repairs, and banks. And they need people who can close quickly. And then some houses need specialty work like zoning, permitting, land splits that just regular buyers cannot handle. So you're not out there screwing people over. You're getting paid for solving problems that they can't solve. That's value creation. And yes, you absolutely deserve to profit from it. Now, I remember early on in my career, I bought a house directly from a family going through something that was truly heartbreaking. Their adult son had recently passed away from cancer, and the home was full of his stuff. And it was just too much emotionally for them to deal with. They gave me a price. It was seriously an incredible deal. But part of it was that I had to take all of the belongings in the house. I had to take it exactly as is. And I felt bad about it. It was clear how hard it was for them to even walk through that house. But later, after I had fixed up the place and I had sold it, they called me. And I thought for sure they called me because they were pissed off at me because I bought it for $60K, put around $40,000 into it, and then sold it for $200,000. But that's not why they were calling me. They were calling me to let me know that they saw that I sold the house and they were truly grateful. They told me what a lifesaver it was that I took that burden off of their hands. So for them, that house was not an asset. It was an absolute nightmare. And that stuck with me because it made me realize that real estate is a dream for some of us, but others, it is a heavy weight that they're desperate to let go of. So as long as we're honest, respectful, and clear, we're not taking advantage. We're providing a real value at the exact moment that some people need it. All right, myth number 4, you can only profit by cutting corners. Well, there is a big difference between being efficient and being shady. Cutting corners is knowingly hiding safety issues or code violations. That's not just unethical. It is literally a lawsuit waiting to happen. But making smart trade-offs like painting cabinets instead of tearing them out and replacing them, well, that's just good business. You're matching the renovation to the neighborhood that it sits in. This is not HGTV's fantasy world. HGTV renovates for ratings. We renovate for return on investment. Myth number 5, that you need to know construction inside and out to be successful. Well, guys, you don't have to be a contractor. You have to be a problem solver. Just think about the CEO of Home Depot. Do you think that he knows how to stock the shelves or run the cash register? I doubt it. But you have to be able to ask smart questions, build scopes of work or strategies, coordinate vendors, and problem solve when the surprises come, because they inevitably will come and you have to be able to problem solve them. And that is the job. So yes, you are going to get some technical experience over time and you'll learn what matters and what doesn't. But you don't necessarily need to know how to lay the tile, but you sure as heck need to know when it's done right and if it's done on time and under budget. Myth number 6 is you need a ton of capital to get started in real estate. This might be the biggest lie of them all. You don't need $100K to get started. Most flippers use other people's money. Why or how? Well, because real estate is the most secure asset class in the world. It's a house. People need houses. They've needed houses for hundreds of years, and they're going to continue to need them hundreds of years from now. So if you find a good deal and know how to present it, the money will be easy. Private lenders, partners, banks, they all want safe returns, and that's what real estate gives them. You don't need capital, you need competence, and you need resourcefulness. Now, here's the thing. Even after I built up big cash reserves, I still go out and get other people's money. Because cash has one purpose to me. It is the protective layer between my business and my family. Now, most people think if you're flipping solo that you're maybe doing one house a year, but that is not how it works at all. They basically think you need to be either in there micromanaging a crew to do the work or doing the work yourself. And that is not the case. And yeah, there is some brute force techniques involved, no doubt. There are times when you have to lean in like that. But your goal is to build a system that flows like water. Water doesn't fight, it finds the path of least resistance. And that's how you balance your time, reduce stress, and use less bandwidth to get more done. And it all starts with number 1, deal flow. Now, finding the right deal isn't about chasing every opportunity or rushing to beat somebody else. It's about building a system that consistently brings you good deals. That could mean off-market marketing, agent relationships, or relationships with wholesalers who know that you're a serious buyer. Now, when you're a great buyer, deals will come to you. And part of being a great buyer is having frameworks for understanding how to underwrite deals, understanding what you will pay for them, and understanding exactly what types of houses that you want. And once the deals pencil, then the money will follow. It's a lot easier to get other people's money when you're bringing real deals to the table. But the goal here isn't going out and door knocking to hunt down these deals. It's to put a system in place that is constantly putting new deals on your desk for you to assess, for you to underwrite and decide whether you're a buyer or not. And once you're a buyer, you knew it was a good deal. Therefore, it's going to be easy for you to go out and get the funds to take that deal down. Less effort, same result. Next, you need to plan the strategy and the scope before you close. Now, I use a phased renovation framework, 6 phases, and I map out every task line by line. For each task, I assign a realistic budget and a financial contingency. That way, I know that I'm going to be covered even when surprises happen. Next is recruiting subcontractors. This is where people struggle. But here's the thing. There are 2 types of contractors. There are push and pull contractors. Now, if you're always having to push, chase, micromanage contractors, it's not just a contractor problem. It's a fit problem, an alignment problem. You picked the wrong person. But the best contractors, the ones that you want, are pull contractors. They show up, they care, they go the extra mile because they're aligned with you. They're grateful for the work and the way that you treat them, and vice versa. And when you learn how to recruit and filter for the right people, your entire operation gets easier. Now, the next step is simply executing the plan. You don't have to be on site every day. You're not out there swinging hammers unless you want to be. You're executing the plan. And when unexpected things come up, and they always do, you follow your framework. You adjust the scope, you flex the budget, you deal with it, not emotionally, but methodically, because you've built it into the margin from the beginning. Dealing with these inevitable problems is actually your job. 5th is you're going to set the checkpoints. These checkpoints are going to align with the phases of the job and become your payment milestones. These are the moments that actually get you to go inspect the work or get proof, confirm that it's done right, and then you release the next draw of payment to the contractor. And if I have a family trip coming up, say we're going to Disney, which we are, I make sure that there are no checkpoints scheduled during that time. That way I know everything's moving forward while I'm gone. Everything's been planned out and subbed out, so it's getting done. And then when I get back, there will be things for me to come inspect. And that's how you make sure you don't have to micromanage every job. Now, after that, you sell or refinance that property. That's your payday. That's your reward for running a system and sticking to the plan. Now, I'm not getting deep into detail with each one of these because I make a lot of content that deep dives into each one of these strategies. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but as your skills start to rise, the amount of bandwidth it takes you to get these things done starts to lower. And that's how you're really able to balance the things you want to do and have freedom as opposed to obligation. You're not out there running a construction crew. You're running a flipping operation, a system that combines strategy, scheduling, and execution to create equity, cash, and freedom, one deal at a time. You don't need an office. You don't need a staff. You need a method. And the one-person model gives you exactly that. Now, this is one of the biggest mistakes I see in education. People learn tactics without understanding the context. They follow advice built for a totally different flipping style or investing style, and they wonder why it doesn't work for them. So let's break down the main styles and strategies so you can choose a path that matches your style. So number 1, big renovations. This is what most people think of when they hear that you're flipping a house. You buy a house that needs significant work, cosmetic updates, layout changes, maybe even an addition, and then you force appreciation through construction. This strategy definitely creates major value and opens up a lot of deals to you, but it also comes with moving parts, longer timelines, a need for strong scope planning. Next, there are what I call wholesale flips. You buy a house at a discount, you solve a few key problems like roof, HVAC, structural, and then you sell to another investor, an investor that's scared to do those bigger things. You're not doing a full renovation here. You're just making it less scary for the next buyer. It's all about removing the uncertainty for them. And if you're good at spotting those opportunities, it can be a really profitable way to invest. Right. Then there's what I call the turnkey, which is basically you buy a house that maybe has a renter in it already, and then you do a few things to be able to increase the rent. And now that you've increased the rent, it's a more valuable property to another investor who wants to hold long term. At that point, you sell it to that investor who's going to pay you a higher price because the cap rates are better, i.e. the rent and the capitalization of the money they have to put into the property gets improved. That might have got confusing. Basically, if you're able to up the rents, you can also up the sales price. Boom. Next is what I call white collar flipping. This strategy is less about hammers and more about paperwork. You add value through zoning changes, lot splits, maybe permitting work. This unlocks development potential. Now, you might not touch the structure at all, but you're unlocking hidden equity. This is a great fit for people who are analytically sharp or administratively strong. Then there's the bird dog. Sometimes your entire value comes from acquisition. You buy it super cheap because of different property issues, seller distress, or speed that we talked about earlier, and you already know who to sell it to. This is basically what wholesalers do, except in this model, you actually take ownership of the property and then go sell it to somebody else. This means there's less risk for the seller and more control for you. You might flip it to a landlord, a renovator, a retail buyer, but your margin comes from the spread, the good deal you bought versus the sales price. Now, the key here is knowing how to bird dog deals and then also knowing the people to sell it to. Now, there are two core ways to run your one-person flipping business. There's the DIY, the do-it-yourself. This path is all about doing the work with your own hands. You swing the hammer, you lay the tile, you paint the walls. You might even do it all, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing included. A lot of people start this way and some never leave. Why? Because it feels good. You see the results of your effort. You know, at the end of the day, you feel sweaty, sore, and satisfied. You're not stuck in the office. You're building real value physically with your own two hands. That's a pretty powerful feeling. And for a skilled tradesperson, this is really the most that they could possibly get paid. You don't get paid like a handyman. You get paid to be the handyman. You get paid as the general contractor, and you get paid as the investor. Pretty sweet deal. Now, the downside is that they're very limited in their time. You can really only flip a house with your own two hands, maybe once, maybe twice a year if you're really hustling. But anytime you want to take time off, maybe go on a family vacation, basically everything stops. But if you're good at work and you like to do that type of work, it could be a very fulfilling and profitable path for you. Right. Next is the MI wire, the manage it yourselfer. This is basically becoming your own general contractor. You're not going to be swinging the hammer. You are going to hire the people to do that. You're going to coordinate subs, manage timelines, order material. You're going to oversee the quality of the work. This is where systems really shine. You're doing the thinking, the planning, the decision making, but you're not doing the physical labor. That means that you can scale up a little bit, but scaling also means that you can control your bandwidth. You can control your time. You can go out of town if you want to. And, these are the things that we talked about where you set checkpoints and you'll have people working while you're gone. Now, normally a general contractor is going to take like 15 to 25%, but you're the general contractor. So you're basically making money as a general contractor because you're paying less for construction this way. And you also get paid as the investor. So it's a win-win. And this is really how the one-person business model thrives. Now, there is like a hybrid approach where you do MIY, you manage a lot of subs to come in, a lot of different vendors, contractors to do the work, but maybe there's certain things that you really enjoy doing. Like maybe you like to put trim in, or you like to hang cabinets, or maybe you're a former electrician and that's what you like to do. But either way, those things can, of course, save you money. And that is what I turn to at times of need. Like if things get tight on a project, maybe the project isn't going to make as much money as I thought, I might go in and do some of the work just to save and cut where I can. But the point of all of this system all the time, is that you're not obligated to do these things. You got to make the choice to do these things. And when you really start to rev up and scale and get too far out over your skis, options get really limited for you. Your back is against the wall all the time. And the systems that I've tried to set into place is to make sure that my back isn't against the wall and I get to live my life while I'm doing business. Now, the next question you guys probably have is, how do I actually afford to do this? Well, the good news is I have tons of content about how you get money to fund your flips, but the method that you choose depends on your strategy and your personal situation and, above all, finding a solid deal, as we've talked about. But for now, let me walk you through some of the safest and most accessible, time-tested routes to get money for a flip or rental project. Now, option one, this is the best one. This is a live-in flip using a primary mortgage. You buy a house that you're actually going to go live in. You're going to have a low down payment. This is a mortgage like an FHA loan or a VA loan is actually zero down. And you live in the house while you update it. Now, this is not going to be a full gut job. It's probably going to be like a room-to-room situation since you're living there. And this works really well if you're like young and single or maybe just married with no kids. With kids, it gets a little bit harder. But the point here is it's very safe. You already have to pay for a house to live in, so why not live in the house that you're renovating for a flip, and then you get some extra cash, and then you really get into investment from there. Bonus here is there's an FHA, there's a 203K loan, which actually gives you the money to do the renovation as well. At that point, you would have to hire a accredited or approved contractor, but maybe you could work something out with them where they let you do some of the work. Option two is hard money loans. Now, this freaks people out, but hard money is actually built for people like us, flippers and investors. There's going to be like a little bit higher interest rates than a primary mortgage, and you're going to have to pay some points up front. That means that you actually have to pay fees to get this loan, but hard money loans are made for flippers. And the best part about it is like a bank is going to give you a loan based upon the purchase price of a house, whereas a hard money lender is going to give you money based upon the after repair value of the house. So if that house is going to be worth $400,000 when it's all said and done, they might give you 70 to 75% of the $400,000. They don't care about what you purchase it for or your renovation costs. They care about what it's worth because it's a safer thing for them. Now, option number three is raising or getting private money. Now, this may be actually like asking people for money, or this may be partnering with other people. Now, this is not necessarily the ideal part of the one person flipping model because this is going to add some complexity, some friction. You have people to answer to at this point. And so this is not really an option that I would choose from the start. This is more of an advanced option. But after you get some skills under your belt, you're able to go out and find the types of partners or people to borrow from that are more in line with your goals of being a one-person flipper. So somebody that's not going to be in your business all the time, somebody that is going to let you go do your thing because they trust the skills that you have acquired. Or if you're newer to the game, this might be an opportunity for you to partner up with somebody who has significantly more skills than you, and maybe they're just tired of being out in the field and they want somebody who's going to go out there and bust their butt, finding deals and managing subcontractors or whatnot. So that can be a good relationship. Generally, I find that people in two different phases of business are the best to partner up. A whole opposites attract kind of situation. Whereas new guy, very hungry, very ambitious, versus somebody that has been around the business, now has a lot of cash and just kind of is willing to give up some so they don't have to go out and do the thing. as opposed to two people who are just starting out and, hey, we're going to divide and conquer. I see that run into some issues quite often. And finally, option number 4, this is creative financing, basically having the seller fund the deal for you. If you've been in the real estate game, you've probably heard of Pace Morby, and this is his main thing, is you go to buy a property and you ask the person who's selling it to you, hey, can you, instead of taking $200,000 for this house, can you take that in payments over time? They actually give you a mortgage for their own house. That's seller financing. Or there's subject to, where they have, let's say, a $200,000 mortgage on that house, and you say, hey, let me take over the payments on that thing and I get ownership of the house. And then there's, of course, combinations of that. And that gets a little bit complex. I can do a separate video explaining how all of that breaks down. But for now, just know that one of the options, and maybe the best option for putting $0 down into a deal, is creative financing, having the seller finance the deal for you. Now, I've gone through the phase where I wanted to build an empire, own half of the city, have crews everywhere, and basically take over the world. But what I've realized is that the most valuable thing is being in control. Control over my time, control over my income, control over how I show up for my family, for myself, and for the life that I actually want. And that's what the one-person flipping model gives you. It's not about being small. It's about being smart, intentional, profitable, free. And guys, if you want more tactical, step-by-step breakdowns on any of the topics that we touched on here, like funding, finding subs and managing subs, flipping styles, deal finding, I've got deep dives out there for you. Start with this video right here next. And thanks for hanging out, guys.